everyone. Welcome back to Just So Amala. So, on today's topic, we're going to talk about how to differentiate fact from fiction when it comes to all the money, financial advice that are out there in the digital verse, right? There's a lot of them floating around. I come across plenty that are actually quite alarming. So, I wanted to do this video to just help you all give you rather some framework for you to use or for you to apply when determining whether you should be taking advice from someone. So, super quick, I don't want to bore you with the details, but I'm going to break these up into two categories, those that are in the industry and those that are not. Before I do that, you're probably asking yourself, why should we listen to you? Right? Why are you trying to tell us who to listen to out there in the digital verse? So, I've been doing finance for over 10 years. I have my series 7, 63, 66, 9, 10, CFP, and I'm sure there's some that I'm forgetting, right? There's a lot of exams that goes into working in the finance industry. So trust me when I say I know what I'm talking about in this space, and I want to equip you with some basic tools to make sure that you don't take any advice that ends up hurting you in the long run. I am very passionate about personal finance and using it to build a solid foundation for your future. So when I see these advice out there that are at worst illegal, at best just wrong, it is alarming, and I want to make sure that you are prepared and equipped with the right tools to differentiate fact from fiction in that space. So let's get started. So, like I was saying, I'm going to break these down into two groups, right? Those that are in finance and those that are not. So, if you're in finance, it's a bit easier, right? Because you can look on their LinkedIn, you can kind of see what companies they've been working for. Um, it's easier to find out if they are who they say they are and whether or not they should at least have a basic understanding of what they're talking about. So, really quick, I'm going to list off the four things you need to look for with people who are in the industry and trying to give you advice. So the first thing is credentials, right? To work in personal finance, in most roles, not all of them, right? But in most of the financial roles, you do have to have certain licenses and designations. So, like I was saying, I have my series. I'm not going to list all that again, right? I have the CFP, I have the AM. I don't even know all the licenses I have, if I'm being honest. However, you can go on brokercheck.com, type in my name, and it'll show you my history of employment, all the firms I've worked at, and all the licenses I've accumulated throughout the years that are FINRA regulated licenses, right? Because I have some that are not FINRA licenses. That's a different story. So you can use brokercheck.com. It's a good tool to make sure that whoever you're listening to or whoever is spewing whatever to you is somebody that has at least passed the basic licensing exam that the regulatory body determines everybody must pass to at least work in that space. So that's one, right? The credentials. Second is experience slash history, right? How easy is it for you to find out where they work, what they've done, etc., etc. Third one is the transparency in what they're saying. So, does this seem, are they trying to overcomplicate it? Is there a lot of jargon being tossed around that's meant to intentionally confuse you? Look out for that, especially if they're offering something for compensation, right? How simple is the compensation to understand? It's never that complicated, and if it is, you shouldn't be doing it in the first place. You should have somebody doing it for you. You should be hiring somebody to do it for you, right? So just look out for those things. People will try to trick you in that space. So we talked about credentials, experience, transparency, and also the realisticness of what they're talking about. Does it apply to your situation? Right? Or are there somebody who inherited something and is they have a little bit more room to be risky, and they're trying to spew that advice to the rest of the world who don't have that same luxury, right? So those are the four things to look at. If they are in the industry, I want you to look for their credentials, their experience slash history, the transparency of whatever it is they're talking about, or if there's compensation involved, how they're compensated, and the realisticness of what they are talking about. So that's in the industry, in finance. What about people who are not in finance? Are they not equipped to give the same advice? Of course they are, right? There are people who have built their wealth through nothing but just trial and error. They've built businesses. They've taken some advice from somewhere and they've been able to build on that and expand and grow and be great. So that's fine, right? People like that do exist. However, again, is it a one off? Are they playing with somebody else's money? So when they're not in the industry, it does get a little trickier, but the same principles slash common sense still apply. So when it comes to people who are not in the industry, there are five things I want you to look for is their track record of success, right? Have they built wealth through the ups and the downs, through different economic cycles? It wasn't just one lucky streak, right? Has there been a consistent pattern of success? Um, are they have they written a book on what they're talking about? For somebody to sit down and write a book on a topic, not always, but typically they have to have a solid understanding of what they're talking about, and they have to be passionate about it, and they have to have done research to support whatever they're writing. So if they can come to the table with that, if they can show you that they have that track record, that's probably somebody who knows what they're talking about. Are they giving you clear and detailed explanations, right? Is it, oh, my buddy did this and XYZ? Again, they're convoluting the whole thing just to confuse you. Move on. Move on. Move on. The third thing is their ethical standing. So a lot of times I see celebrities giving advice, or people, celebrities, what they say is the world is the word. They're God. Their advice is instantly gobbled up like a good Sunday dinner, right? Because why? Right? They're good at one thing. They're not good at this. That's why celebrities sponsor things, because some people have this mentality of, oh, they must be right. They're celebrities, so I'm gonna do what they say. Please do your best to detach yourself from that mindset. It is stupid. I, I, I couldn't think of a basic enough word to describe it with, but to attach yourself to something that a celebrity is saying who has no experience in that field, whether they're selling you, I don't know, prescriptions, money advice, whatever, right? I urge you to do your best to separate yourself from thinking that just because they're famous, whatever they're saying must be true. Look at their ethical standing. If somebody has been, I don't know, ordered by the IRS, arrested, undergoing legal proceedings, probably not somebody you want to be taking advice from, right? So just do a quick internet search there will set you right. The other thing is, like we talked about, a realistic expectation, something that is easy for everybody to adopt, that there is no barrier to entry. So you can go home and start working on that idea and be successful. And then the last thing is, of course, that it aligns with your vision. So if they're talking about, oh, I did this to save X amount of my taxes and I was able to write off whatever, you, your vision, your current goal might be building up your savings. It might be learning how to invest. It might be trying to, I don't know, start an LLC. So whatever they're talking about, you shouldn't be quick to act on it or even spend mental power thinking about it, because it doesn't align with what you're trying to do at all. Um, it's not easy when they're not in the industry, but it's still doable, because if I was going to take advice from somebody who was an online expert, online influencer, whatever the case is, I want to see what their track record is. I think that's the big one, right? Are they credentialed? Have they written about what they're talking about? And also, like I said, a good internet search will set you right. So, not too long, a super quick video, because again, I come across so many things that are at best illegal and at worst just harmful, right? It'll mess up everything you've built. It'll have you feeling like you're not doing enough, and it'll just take you down this downward spiral that is not helpful at all. So at your best, please do the best you can to detach yourself from even taking advice from anyone unless you hire them for that specific reason and that is their job, right? I hope this helps. I know it was super quick, but I just had to put it out there because I come across so many ludicrous suggestions, tips, advice that are just not how you need to move. All right, thank you for watching. Just so Amala again. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Check out my newsletter for more detail on what we just talked about, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.